So it's my pleasure to introduce a partner in crime from our Department of Geography, Environment, and Sustainability, Dr. David Salisbury. Dr. Salisbury has been working for more than 24 years with his friends and colleagues in Peru and Brazil. He's been doing groundbreaking work, meaningful work with the communities, doing community and satellite-based, and what did you call it yesterday, Dan? Local and remote sensing. So we're going to hear, this is another practitioner of those kinds of efforts for sure. Along the contested borderlands of the Amazon. Notably, he's been deeply engaging students from the University of Richmond in this work for years and years, doing, which is not easy to do. Both here in the Spatial Analysis Lab, you may have noticed as you walked in, some incredible maps and posters that are outside, another thing to check out during the coffee break. But also in person with his friends and partners in the Amazon, there's been probably 15 students or so, maybe I'm underestimating that number, that has traveled with him down to the Amazon to engage in this work. So, and if you were along with us on the field trip yesterday, you've seen firsthand how David embodies the philosophy of this week's workshop to be inclusive as many voices as possible in the exchange. So it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Dr. David Salisbury.
Hola, bienvenidos, benvingo. Welcome. This isn't about me. Thanks for the kind words, though, Todd. Really, what I'm here is just to facilitate these leaders. So, in particular, I want to allow Luis Bianco and Avelino Ruiz Santos and Andres Arevalo Perez and Alfonso Regifo Perez and Maria Elena Paredes Marquez and Mina Villacorto Portocarrero share their knowledge. And so excited about that. Really, really excited. This is a dream come true to be able to bring so many times that I stayed in their home and now they're staying in mine. So it is just an amazing experience. So I'm going to be translating and facilitating this conversation. I'm not going to be leading this, but I do want to get us started. And so I think we'll start with some music. Música, ¿les parece?
Petri, Mashenika, Tamboda Tenaka, Ame Mabawa Tapan. Petri Mauni Labu Sapeni, Stana Gagnari Haka, Skin Sanderan and Mumbai National, one time.
Iboga boga te jana, Iboga boga te jana, Jati no que guarde que guarde, pina pe te quiera, pina pe te quiera. Iboga boga te jana, aga chanti no shane shanika, no que guarde, pina pe te quiera, pina pe te quiera. Acabero picanta, no shane shanika, que moshi cubana. Akachame, shanika perolina. Akachame, shanika perolina. Que moshi cubana, Akachame, shanika perolina. Shanika perolina. Pasongi.
Bueno, voy aquí. Bom dia a todos. Buenos dias. Vou falar pouco em portunhol.
Good morning to everyone. I'm going to speak a little bit in Portuñol, a unique combination of Spanish and Portuguese from the borderlands.
Eu sou Luis Bianco, eu vengo
de la frontera de Brasil y Perú, el estado de Acre, Brasil.
I'm Benito Bianco. I come from the borderlands of Peru and Brazil, the Brazilian state of Acre.
Mi pueblo es Ashánica.
Yo soy el jefe de la comunidad y estoy aquí para compartir un poco de lo que vamos a conversar aquí en este tema.
I am from the Ashaninka people, and I'm here as chief of my community. We're going to share some of our situation with everyone here.
Estamos con los demás y nosotros venimos trayendo nuestro mensaje para poder estar aquí. Lo agradezco a todos los que organizaron este evento y al profesor David, que también organizó todo esto, y la universidad que nos recibió aquí con todo cariño, ¿no? Y nosotros lo agradecemos a todos ustedes.
I'm here, and it's an honor to be here to share with you my knowledge, to be invited here by Professor David, and we're delighted to be able to share the challenges that we're facing. Somewhat technical difficulties. Okay, we're going to keep going and work on getting you there through our maps and photographs.
Ya, entonces, como he dicho, yo he venido de parte de Brasil, y los demás hermanos van a presentarse también, que vinieron ahí de parte de Perú, y los invito a presentarse aquí cada uno.
So I would like to invite my colleagues and friends from the borderlands of the Amazon to come up here and one by one present themselves. We're going to use a following, and this is me, David speaking quickly. We're going to use a gota de agua approach, which we've used in previous talks, which is the idea of a drop of water, which we think very much connects with the topics that we started off with, thanks to Jacinta Guru and Dan Wildcat. And we're going to introduce people in the direction of a drop of water falling at the headwaters of a river system. And so first we'll begin with Arlindo Ruiz Santos, who is from the community closest to the source of water.
Muchas gracias. Good morning. Buenos días a todos.
Good morning.
Primeramente quiero felicitar a todos los hermanos que están acá y felicitarles por ese evento tan especial para nosotros y primera vez acá en Estados Unidos, en Washington, en Richmond.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone here, all my brothers, my sisters, and welcome everyone for being here and sharing this opportunity with us here at the University of Richmond.
Mi nombre es Arlindo Luis Santos, clínica de Gloria, Río Yurua, en Lado Perú.
My name is Arlindo Luis Santos. I'm a member of the Dulce Gloria community from the Yurua River in Peru.
no soy un profesional en ese tema ambiental, pero sí soy profesional a través de la naturaleza.
I'm not a professional in the environmental science theme, but I am a professional of nature.
Estoy acá, después de solo se estamos presentando, después vamos a tener más diálogo más, y más que todo para hacer intercambio, porque estamos acá, qué es lo que queremos para nuestro mar de naturaleza.
¿Quieres apuntar de dónde eres?
Yo soy de acá, donde está el moradito. Sí, somos de ahí y conectamos con la reserva indígena Moronado.
That's where I'm from, and we are the guardians of the Indigenous Reserve Munawa, which is a reserve for Indigenous people in voluntary isolation and initial contact. They're the last community, titled community before that forest and territory begins.
Para terminar, la comunidad Luz y Gloria tiene mucha historia por temas de defensa territorial, y también coordinamos con AXI, es una asociación de conservación que existe en Uruguay, y hemos trabajado hace muchos años, desde mi época de mis 17 años y hasta hoy.
Just to give you a sense that we are a community of much history, of great history, and we have been working with the OXI, a conservation area that we created and that we helped manage, and over my 17 years, I've been working to protect that, my community and the areas around it.
Y agradecerle también a todos aquellos hermanos que están acá. La comunidad Luz y Gloria es base de una asociación que es Aconadish, que es el madre de Uruguay.
And we are so thankful to be here with our brothers and sisters, and we are part of a federation called Aconadish, which represents all the indigenous communities of the Uruguay region.
Y actualmente soy especialista comunitario de UAC. Gracias a ellos estamos acá, y agradecerle acá a David por temas de los trámites documentales tan fuertes, y felicitarle. Muchas gracias.
I'm also a collaborator with the UAC, the Upper Amazon Conservancy, and I would like to thank them and also David for all of the visa and document help. But I've got to thank Sophie Tanner. Where is she? Is she here? Well, she's not here. Well, she is my student who really did an amazing job with that. Ya, la gota de agua sigue cayendo, bajando. The drop of water that landed in this indigenous Munao reserve with the people uncontacted people and people in voluntary isolation passes for Dulce Gloria and reaches the community of San Pablo, where one of us is from.
Hecho, Mapuda, buen día con todos. Mi nombre es Alfonso Renchico Pérez, Grupo Yaminaba, además presidente de la CONADIS, representando 6 pueblos étnicos: Yaminaba, Ashaninga, Ahuaca, Chitonaba, Yanish.
Hello, good morning. My name is Alfonso Renchico Pérez. I'm of the Yaminawa people, and I'm also here as president of Aconadish, which is a federation that represents the Ashaninka, the Asheninka, the Amawaka, the Yaminawa, the Yanesha, and the Chitonawa peoples of the Uruguay River region.
Bueno, para mí es un agradecimiento por ese momento. Realmente nosotros hemos venido para compartir las experiencias, conocimiento, la realidad de nuestro territorio y nuestro voto.
Really, it is a wonder to be here, and I'm here to talk about the territories and the rivers and the peoples of our region.
Gracias que esa experiencia compartimos como parte de organizaciones indígenas. La realidad preocupa nuestros ríos, Yuba, Huacachostea, más arriba, todo colinantes de conservación Moronava y también que realmente tenemos conocimiento de la realidad que estamos amenazados por nuestros territorios.
Yes, so we are worried, preoccupied with the challenges to our area, all the rivers, the Wakapistea, the Urua rivers going up all the way into the Murunawa. And we're concerned about this and we want to share our story.
Bueno, organizaciones indígenas tienen 27, como he titulado, protegido las comunidades. Con todo eso tenemos 27 comunidades indígenas. Claro, Perú, realmente organizaciones indígenas preocupa la lucha contra la amenaza, el tema del territorio, nuestro bosque.
So we can form 27 communities in this area and we're preoccupied with our territory and our forests.
Gracias. Más adelante vamos a coordinar, vamos a compartir las experiencias de acá, también de parte de Perú, y donde hemos venido. Nosotros son selvas más lejanas, donde las comunidades no conocen la realidad, pero nosotros sí conocemos, vivimos netamente en el bosque, selva, y conocemos la realidad, las preocupaciones. Como organización, y gracias, y agradezco a David el esfuerzo que ha puesto, que muchos años, 2 años me he conocido desde que he entrado, esta caricatura del pueblo indígena. Gracias, David, agradezco por ese esfuerzo para poder llegar. No es fácil para poder llegar, es un poco difícil, nosotros somos más lejos, ¿no? En una Perú, frontera Perú-Brasil. Muchas gracias.
Yes, and we here in this region are very preoccupied, we're very far away. It's hard for the state to reach us. They don't understand what's going on there, but we do. We understand our reality and want to thank David and others who have visited us. It's very, very, very difficult to get there. And we are coming from a very remote area to get here as well. La gota de agua, the drop of water continues from Sao Paulo, where Alfonso was born, and goes all the way to Puerto Veo, which is the city or town here, where he is now the president of the Indigenous Federation that represents all these Peruvian communities at the headwaters of the Uwa River. And so the drop of water also falls in the headwaters of the Ammonia River. And in the headwaters of the Ammonia River, it arrives at the community of Salao, Ito Cuarenta.
Gracias por esta oportunidad. Mi nombre es María Márquez. Quiero explicar un poco el mapa. Está justo en la esquinita que apuntó Williams, mi colega. Ahí está ubicado Sao Ito 40, frontera Perú y Brasil.
Thank you. My name is Maria Elena Paredes Marquez, and I'm here. I'm very thankful, and I want to tell you where my community is, Sao Ito 40, right there at the border of Peru and Brazil.
Quiero comentarle, Sao Ito 40 colinda con dos comunidades por parte de Brasil. Comunidad Perú, Ashénica, está el lado arriba. El lado de la comunidad Ashénica por parte de Brasil está donde que está el hermano acá Bebito. Colindamos las dos fronteras, tanto Ashénica Perú, tanto Ashénica Brasil. Colindamos ahí, los dos juntos.
I want to share that I want to share that we live on a river that is separated by the Peru-Brazil border, and that I live on the Peruvian side, closer to the headwaters. And right across the border is my brother Perito, who lives on the Brazilian side in Apucha.
Sí, nosotros como comunidad ashénica por el lado Perú, somos guardianes de la frontera y como bien mencionó mis compañeros, nosotros convivimos con la naturaleza, nuestros bosques, nuestros ríos, y por ende nosotros estamos acá presentes para compartir las propuestas o las estrategias, cómo dar solución a esa problemática que nosotros tenemos en las fronteras del sector de Yoruba.
So we are the guardians of the borderlands, and we're here to share with you and learn and think through strategies and collaborations about how we can better protect these borderlands.
Estamos acá también presentes para ver las posibilidades de las protecciones de las cabeceras de los ríos. Son 3 ríos que existen en las fronteras: Tamaya, Amonia y Urubá.
We're also here to talk about the protection of the headwaters, the source of life of our rivers, 3 rivers, the Amonia, the Tamaya, and the Urubá rivers.
Y solo eso quería mencionar. Tenemos más compañeros que más adelante vamos a difundir para que todos conozcan nuestra realidad, de dónde vivimos y qué es lo que hacemos nosotros como líderes o como coordinadora del comité de vigilancia. Actualmente yo soy coordinadora del comité de vigilancia de mi comunidad. Y bueno, tenemos varias estrategias, cómo proteger, cómo controlar mejor nuestro territorio en caso de invasiones, de cosas, de temas ilegales dentro de nuestra comunidad. Y necesitamos compartir más y buscar estrategia, y es amplio. El debate acá es amplio. Los conocimientos de los pueblos ashénicas es amplio, ¿no? Convivimos con la naturaleza, con el río, sabemos cuál es la importancia de nuestro bosque, de nuestra naturaleza.
Yeah, so I'm here, and we'll be able to share more later, but we do want to share the importance of our borderlands, which we worry about, our headwaters, which we're concerned about, and how to control, protect, and prevent outsiders from reaching. In particular, I am the president of the Vigilance Committee, of the Monitoring Committee of my community, and tasked with trying to prevent the invasion of outsiders into our lands.
Eso es todo. Gracias.
That's it. All. Over the agua, sigue. The drop of water continues flowing down the Ammonia River into Tampa, Uyu Ammonia, which is now often called Apucha, which is where Perito.
Ya, lo quiero decir que, como ya me presentaron antes, yo soy el líder que ahorita estoy coordinando mi comunidad, que ha sido registrada y homologada en 1992.
I'm here, as I said earlier, Benito Bianco from the Apucha community, representing a community, Campo de Ammonia, that was established in 1992, legally established in 1992.
Y hacemos frontera con el Perú, el límite de nuestro territorio. Ahí estamos coordinados con el hermano de Sabeto, también Sabao, y otra comunidad también que se llama Nuevo Chavalle.
We border the community of Soweto, the community of Sawawo, as well as another community called Nueva Chavalle.
Y también por parte de Brasil estamos con la reserva extractivista de Alto Yoruba y también con otra comunidad indígena Apolimarada.
On the Brazilian side, we border the extractive reserve, actually the first that was ever created, the Alto Yoruba Extractive Reserve, that's inside from David, and the Apolima Arara community, indigenous community.
Entonces nosotros tenemos una relación muy buena, ¿no? Entre la frontera Brasil y Perú. Para nosotros no tenemos frontera como pueblo, Achánica, ahí podemos pasar y también los hermanos pueden nos visitar y así trabajamos juntos, unidos. Claro, hay muchos problemas, pero ahora estamos nos organizando mejor entre ambos y planificando lo que queremos para el futuro.
So we are there at the border, and we are working on the border. Of course, for us, there are no borders. We move across the borders. Our brothers and sisters come visit us. We go visit them. But we are now organizing more and more to protect our lands around these borders, our homelands.
Bueno, eso sería. Ahora la ruta de agua continúa. Vamos a seguir.
And now we continue, the drop of water continues, and it actually, the water falls not only here on the ammonia, but here at the headwaters of the Alto Tamaya River, right next to it, and flows into the community of Alto Tamaya, Soweto.
Plenary, oye, todos, muy buenos días. Mi nombre es Andrés Arevalo Pérez, soy el jefe de la comunidad de Alto Tamaya de Sahueto. Y voy a mencionar dónde pertenecemos nosotros. Sahueto pertenece al distrito de Macicea, provincia de Poder Deportivo, departamento de Ucayali. Anteriormente que Sahueto, ya voy a mostrar dónde es Sahueto. Nosotros coordinamos con dos comunidades, tanto el Hito 40, Sabao y también Apiucha, que es parte de Brasil, Acre, pertenece por Brasil.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Excited to share. I'm from Soweto, Alto Tamaya. We border with Sawawo and with Apiucha. And we are part of the Macicea, Ucayali, Peru.
Sahueto, el 2013, fue asesinado los 4 dirigentes Ayánica por defender su territorio.
In Soweto, in 2014, there were 4 indigenous people killed from our community.
Bueno, quería mencionar un poco rápidamente que si quiere conocer más Sahueto, parte de la comunidad, quiere saber qué está pasando en parte de Brasil, vamos a tener un espacio para compartir las amenazas de la comunidad Sahueto por parte de Perú.
We want to share later. We will have the opportunity to talk about the threats to our peoples in Brazil and Peru.
Y quería compartir un poco las grandes amenazas. El 2021 pasó los madereros o empresarios ilegales dentro de nuestro territorio, donde que fue atropellado nuestros hitos, donde que nosotros pertenecemos.
I want to share that in 2021, the illegal loggers came into our territory and removed and destroyed the border monuments of our territory.
Donde que nuestros hermanos Sahuao, colindante con Sahueto, fue retenido esos tractores que entró atropellando también su territorio.
And I want to share that our brothers and sisters in Tawawu, the Maria Elena is from. And actually, Maria Elena herself did this, led this effort, physically stopped the tractors that were entering into the territory.
Y al más rato vas a ver de dónde entró la carretera, hasta dónde llegó en la diapositiva, para que más se informa.
You'll see later where this road came in and where it arrived and how it was stopped later on.
Thank you. Obrigado. Gracias.
Thank you. Okay, so the drop of water continues flowing down the Tamaya River to where it reaches one of the great tributaries of the Amazon, the Ucayali River, which then arrives at the city of Pucallpa, a city of some 250,000, where our next person is from.
Good morning, buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es William Villacorta, Abrahamos un Conservancy,
una ONG que trabaja con pueblos indígenas en la región de Yurú.
Good morning. My name is William Villacorta Portocarrero, and I am from Upper Amazon Conservancy, a non-governmental organization that works with indigenous peoples in the Yurua area.
Bueno, mi historia con los pueblos indígenas ya se remonta hace poco más de 10 años, cuando tuve la oportunidad, gracias a un proyecto con el profesor David, con la universidad, en donde trabajé mi proyecto de tesis en la comunidad nativa El Dorado del pueblo Yaminao.
¿Quieres apuntar, El Dorado? So my story with indigenous peoples began about 10 years ago when I had the opportunity, thanks to the University of Richmond and a Higher Education for Development USAID finance program, to do my thesis in the community of El Dorado, right next to San Pablo in the Yurua.
Sí, y bueno, ahí en Yurú hay un dicho de que si tú bebes el agua del río Yurú, tú ya te quedas ahí para siempre.
They say there that if you drink the water, that you stay in the Yurua River forever.
Sí, yo creo que eso está pasando conmigo.
I think this is happening to me.
Fue ese episodio de mi vida, esa etapa como estudiante, en donde yo descubrí que algo no estaba sucediendo bien, ¿no? Que algo no estaba funcionando en la región, con los pueblos indígenas y con el Estado, ¿no? Para atender la necesidad de los pueblos.
It was there when I was a student that I realized that something wasn't happening right. Something wasn't happening right in terms of the attention and the situation of the indigenous peoples of the Yurua.
Y bueno, yo tuve otras opciones para dedicar a hacer cosas diferentes, pero yo decidí continuar trabajando con mis hermanos, los pueblos indígenas.
I had other opportunities, professional opportunities, but I decided that I would continue to work with my friends, the indigenous people.
Entonces creo que estamos aquí para compartir lo que ellos traen para ofrecernos, no solo la cultura, sino también lo que actualmente vienen viviendo, ¿no? Las amenazas, las violaciones a sus derechos humanos y territoriales y otros impactos que ellos están sucediendo por las actividades de grandes proyectos de infraestructura.
And so we're here to not only share the culture, but also to share the threats and realities of this area that threatens the indigenous peoples in the forests of the region.
Y bueno, estamos aquí no solo para contarles eso, sino también estamos aquí para buscar su apoyo, para que este espacio pueda sumarse al movimiento que se viene impulsando desde allá, desde los pueblos indígenas, de donde verdaderamente está la necesidad, ¿no? Porque hemos visto que muchas iniciativas, muchos proyectos inician con visiones aquí desde arriba y quieren ir hasta abajo, y eso no funciona. Quieren ir de abajo hacia arriba, de la visión propia de los pueblos indígenas.
And so we're here not just to talk about these things, but also to ask for your support to help the situation. There have been projects in this area that start from the top and go down but they don't reach as far as they should, and that's why we're here, because we want to work from the bottom up.
Ese poder igual más oportunidades para seguir compartiendo y solo comentar que existe en la región de frontera, tanto de Yurubá en Brasil y Urúa y Alto Tamaya en Perú, un movimiento que se ha iniciado hace algunos años, la Comisión Transfronteriza de los Pueblos Indígenas de esta región, y que nos gustaría compartir toda esa información y el trabajo de estos años que ha sido impulsado desde ya muchos años más atrás con la Asociación Fusion, un gran trabajo que viene haciendo Bebito y sus hermanos y su comunidad. Y bueno, hay mucho aquí que compartir, que queremos que ustedes sepan, y también existe varios pronunciamientos, y últimamente hace 10 días una carta de denuncia que muestra todas las amenazas y las peticiones que se hacen, y quisiéramos que ustedes se sumen para ayudar a compartir toda esta petición hasta donde pueda llegar en el mundo.
Yeah, and so we're grateful for the opportunity to be here and to share what's happening there, as well as to share preoccupations that exist, threats, dangers, and also our petitions that have come from the Indigenous Peoples Transboundary Commission that has been working for many years now, and that has also come out with declarations and letters, and now just 10 days ago, a letter of denunciation that we will share later. And we look forward to working with people in other moments throughout these days.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Ya, entonces voy a empezar hablando un poco de nuestra agua.
Let's start by talking something about our water.
Para nosotros, el tema de la agua es muy importante, que podemos decir es nuestra vida, no solo para nosotros como ser humano, pero como los animales y también las plantas.
Water to us is very important, not just for us, but also for the animals and the plants.
Por eso siempre pensamos en defender nuestros nacientes, de nuestro río, de nuestra agua, porque de ahí vivimos, de ahí bañamos, de ahí sacamos para nuestros trabajos, ¿no? De cocinar, y nuestros niños se bañan, y de ahí tomamos. Si no cuidamos esto, más adelante ya no vamos a poder bañar y ni tomar nuestras aguas porque ya van a estar contaminadas.
Thus, we defend our waters, particularly our water sources, our headwaters, where rivers begin, because this is necessary for our life.
Por eso nosotros tenemos este espacio, lo que está ahí marcado.
And thus, we have this space which we've designated here in green.
Porque es una lucha de nosotros. Estamos aquí entre las comunidades que viven en el lado de Perú. Bueno, nuestro río es, puedo decir, internacional, porque él nace en Perú y pasa para el lado de Brasil, y exactamente donde está mi comunidad, que es Apiuta. Entonces, para eso nosotros tenemos todo cuidado, y es una lucha, ¿no? Para poder ver y planificar de qué manera podemos tener eso protegido.
Thus, we live on this international river, a river divided between Peru and Brazil. We need to protect this water because we depend on it.
Sí, entonces para eso nosotros tenemos que mirar las amenazas que vienen llegando hasta nosotros. Lo que está de rojo es todas las amenazas que vienen llegando aproximado en nuestro territorio, que es la carretera.
So what worries us, the greatest threat to our area are these lines in red, which are the roads, forestry roads and other roads that are arriving to reach the headwaters that we rely on.
Podemos ver que donde está el espacio que viene llegando todavía no hay carretera. Entonces ahí todavía está intacta la floresta y nuestro río está protegido todavía. Pero ya empieza las construcciones madereras están en este espacio que nosotros queremos proteger.
Entonces our threat is to our waters is that not only are these roads arriving, but they are also these forestry concessions. We live in forests that are still intact. But with these forestry concessions, the roads promise to enter and take down our trees.
Entonces para esto tenemos un trabajo transfronterizo con las comunidades de más parte de Perú y Brasil. Como mencionó William, nosotros tenemos un grupo transfronterizo que estamos discutiendo exactamente cómo proteger eso y cómo hacer las demás comunidades se organizarse para que nosotros estaremos fuertes, ¿no? Para trabajar juntos en defensa de este espacio.
And so for this, we have a Trans-Boundary Commission of Indigenous Peoples who are working together to protect the waters and the forests and the flora and the fauna that supply both sides of the border. And we've been organizing for years.
Y por eso tenemos la Comisión Transfronterizo, que ya tenemos la quinta reunión, lo que mencionó William. A la última hemos hecho un documento con todas las problemáticas de todas las comunidades y para que los demás puedan conocer.
We just had our fifth reading of on the 30th, ending on the 30th of October of the Trans-Boundary Commission Binational Protection. And we want to share some information. Here's some photos from that meeting. I realize we're running up, but this is literally last week, essentially.
Hay algunas fotos que en la reunión. Aquí también es mi hermano que también está en otro continúo, no es solo nosotros, cada uno está en su otro espacio también, en reuniones, trabajando en defensa, ¿no? De nuestro espacio. Y mi hermano está también en la Europa, participando de otras reuniones.
And so my brother, Shaman Benki Bianco, is currently touring Europe. We're not just working here, we're working all over to share the stories of healing the planet, of our waters, and the things that are threatening us.
Entonces, para nosotros, como decimos, la Amazonía es importante porque allí vivimos. Y la importancia es que no es solo para nosotros. Nosotros vivimos ahí a años. Entonces, la importancia, si nosotros no tenemos este bosque, las aguas, ¿cómo será después a nuestro futuro? Y no solo a nosotros como indígenas, pero también los demás, porque la Amazonía está en nuestro país, ¿no? Aquí, en este espacio, y entonces es importante para todos, no solo el Brasil, pero en otros países.
So the Amazon is important for all, not just for us, but for 9 countries. This forest is great for us. And we won't go into detail here, but I think we can understand from the points, this is David aside, we won't go into all these details, but there you are. It's important.
Entonces los impactos recientes estamos sintiendo, ¿no? Como ya hablé de la carretera que llega a nuestro espacio, pero tiene otro, el caso del clima, ¿no? La cuestión climática que nos afecta también.
And so what is also affecting us is the climate change, which is impacting us.
Este año ha sido el año más caliente de nuestro espacio. Hemos visto que nuestros ríos ya están secando. El año pasado no tanto, pero ahora este año ha secado el río, ha muerto bastante pescado, la agua se cambió, es mucho caliente, como si fuera, le podría decir, hasta hacer un café, porque la agua estaba mucho caliente y por eso murió mucho pescado.
This summer has been the hottest ever. Last year, almost as much, not quite, but this year it's so hot that the water's like coffee. The fish are dying, the river is drying. Fish can't take the heat.
Entonces, la importancia que tiene para todos nosotros, para todo el planeta, lo que estamos diciendo, cuidar de la Amazonia. La Amazonia es para todos.
And the Amazon is important for the entire planet. It's for everyone.
Aquí podemos ver en el mapa lo que está todo ahí, las tierras indígenas que tiene en la región de la Amazonía.
Here you can see the indigenous territories in orange that are all over the Amazon.
Lo que está en verde es la otras áreas de conservación, el parque, ¿no? Que conserva también la naturaleza.
In green are the areas that are conservation units, parks.
Para ver cómo nosotros como indígenas protegemos la naturaleza porque es parte de nosotros. De ahí sacamos, de ahí es nuestro mercado, de ahí sacamos la medicina, de ahí tenemos todo nuestra relación con el bosque y con las plantas medicinales, ¿no? Y entonces podemos ver que donde está más protegida son las comunidades indígenas. Y los lados están todavía detonados.
So we protect the forests. We use the forests for our medicines, for our foods, and where the forest is most protected are the indigenous territories. You can see here all the deforestation around the territories and the protection within. This is where they're from. Vamos a adelantar rápido. Está esperando. Vamos. Sí. Entonces,
Entonces, para todo esto, podemos decir entre nosotros su prevención. ¿Cómo podemos proteger? Entre ambos, ¿no? Si decimos que esto es importante para todos, ¿cómo podemos pensar juntos lo que podemos hacer en defensa de la Amazonía, que es un bien para toda la humanidad?
so the Amazon is important for the planet. How can we protect this if it's so important for all humanity? Vamos a ir rápido. Hablamos de los defensores. Es una amenaza.
Sí, bien rápido, puedo decir las amenazas que llegan hasta nuestro territorio. Aquí está el hermano que fue asesinado por defensa de su territorio.
Here's the brother who was killed, our friend Edwin Chota, for defending his territory.
Por estar parando las carreteras que entran en el territorio, ¿no? Todo eso son varios líderes, los que estamos aquí ya estamos también amenazados por defender, por decir carretera. Ahorita no, porque tenemos que pensar otros planes que es importante también. Si nosotros, si algunos están diciendo que esto es desarrollo a llegar a una comunidad, tenemos otros planes también que pueden ser más importantes para nosotros como pueblo indígena y no las carreteras.
So we here face these roads. And we want an alternative for us. And myself and the other leaders here have threats on our heads because we are defending the forest. And this puts us in danger. And we want to raise awareness of these roads. To the quickly here you can see the roads with the white arrows pointing at the road expansion with the inset map showing where it actually is. And you can also see how the agriculture follows.
Bueno, la carretera siempre viene trayendo otras personas que nosotros no conocemos. Vienen llegando cada día, cada paso que la carretera está llegando, está viniendo también otros.
So when the roads arrive, they bring people we don't know. Every step the roads take come other people that we don't know.
Y lo que llega, ¿qué viene haciendo? Viene tomando los espacios y tomando todo como representado que los bosques que está fuera de las comunidades es todo tomado para hacer otros sacan madera y otros van haciendo crianzas de ganadería, otros van haciendo otras cosas que no aceptamos como el caso del narcotráfico.
And so these roads continue, and what they do is they cut down the trees and they put in fields and they bring agriculture and they bring their children and the areas expand and also comes things that we don't understand or like drug trafficking.
Ese ha sido una foto del evento recién, ¿no? Que hemos hecho este mes. Y aquí está la carta que hemos hecho con las comunidades que estaban presentes, presentando todas sus problemáticas y pensando juntos cómo hacemos para esto ser mirado, ¿no? Por todo, acompañado y mirar cómo vamos a hacer esto.
And this is the letter, which was just published this last week, sharing what we want known for the entire world to pay attention to our situation.
Ya, entonces eso solo era lo que quería decir y bueno, tenemos muchas cosas más, queríamos tener más tiempo, ¿no? De quedarnos aquí y dialogarnos con los demás y quien quiera también conversar con nosotros, porque hemos venido de lejos, tenemos que dejar también nuestro mensaje y quién sabe, ojalá un día uno de ustedes tiene interés de llegar a nuestra comunidad para que podamos dialogar mejor, ¿no? y conversar nuestra problemática en nuestro pueblo.
And so we have more time later in the summit to discuss these topics in more detail, but we wanted to share them here. And in addition to discussing here, we also hope maybe that some of you might come visit us in our community and talk about these things with us and meet us and learn us in our faith.
Eso era todo lo que quería presentar para ustedes. Muchas gracias. Aquí de Río, donde mi comunidad, y eso es lo que quería decir. Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you to everyone. Everyone for the time and space to share our story.
I'm Chief Walt Redhawk Brown. I'm Chief of the Chevro in Haka, Nottoway Indian Tribe of South Hampton County, Virginia, Virginia State recognized. We've been pushing for federal recognition since 2002 with the BIA, and then we're currently pushing for federal recognition via Congress. Julie, thank you so very much for having us here. It's a great pleasure and a great honor. I have some of my tribal members here. We have 225 members in our tribe, and I might say this, that have traced their genealogy back to an ethno-historic Cherokee Nottoway Indian surname. You just can't come to the tribe and say, well, I'm Cherokee Nottoway, I'm going to join the tribe, okay? Because we are the only tribe in Virginia that ever had a gubernatorial mandated census, a special census, which was done March 4th, 1808. As you're aware, the census was done started in 1790, every 10 years, right? 1790, 1800, 1810, 1820, etc. So we're the only tribe in Virginia that had a census, and I'm talking about that, was actually done, a special census that was done on our tribal reservation land. At that time, it was 41,000 acres granted to us by the House of Burgesses, which is now now what? House of Delegates, right? The Burgesses, House of Delegates, okay? Began to be sold off in 1735. Last piece disappeared in 1878. I have my tribal members here. We got Francis Morning Rain, we got Beverly Barefoot. I was looking at her feet, make sure she got shoes on, okay? And she got shoes on today. We got Pat and we got Bernard, okay? Guys, give a wave, okay? Appreciate it. You guys can go. I'm not going to take too much of your time because normally my presentations are 55 to 60 minutes, and I'm going to try to go through this in about 25 minutes. Okay? So there's a lot of history I'm going to share with you. First thing I want to share with you is this map of Virginia. This map was put together by 3 professors at Radcliffe University. Who knows Radcliffe University? Anybody? Okay. This map also appeared in the Virginia Atlas when Governor Belias was the governor of Virginia in 1988. Anybody remember Governor Atlas? Governor Belias? Well, anyway, when you look at this map, does that have a red light on this? Trying to tell me? Is there a red light? Is there a pointer light on this? Is there a pointer light on this? Where's the pointer light? Show me. Right here. Cool. When you look at this map, which shows you where all the tribes are located in the 1600s. Some of them have gone by the wayside because colonials have negated them out. Okay, they say they no longer exist. But as William Byrd II of Westover, who was the on the colonial council in Williamsburg, and was involved in the dividing line between Virginia and North Carolina. How many of you know that North Carolina used to be Virginia? How many of you know Ohio used to be Virginia? How many of you know West Virginia used to be Virginia? But anyway, William Byrd II of Westover and provisional to the governing editors under Spotswood was about one thing. They coined the phrase, in order to get rid of Native people, it would be via amalgamation among the races. That's what they pushed. Okay? So when you look at this map of Virginia, this dark area here is the Powhatan Confederation. Let me clear something now. Powhatan was not a tribe. Now I have a 5th grader. His social studies teacher was teaching him that Powhatan was a tribe, so I had to correct that. Powhatan was a Pamunkey Indian. Okay? Powhatan was a confederation of Algonquin speakers, 3 language groups in Virginia: Algonquin, Siouan, and Iroquois. We are Iroquois speakers, okay? So we say, Pekahante, Isan Ki, Karahanta, creator my heart hears. Pekahante, Isan Ki, Raske, creator my heart now sees. But most importantly, we say, Pekahante, Sun Key, last speaker, created My Heart Now Speaks. So Mitchell could have come in other than the Spotswood, and Williamburg II at Wesco, you can read his papers, was about amalgamation among the tribal members to get rid of their ethnicity, okay? Matter of fact, Walter Tucker, the first guy ranked to the Bureau of Statistics, 1906 to 1946, until his death, okay? He was about negating out all of Native people's communities. Matter of fact, he did it. Okay? How many of you are aware that in the early 1900s, every Native tribe of Virginia was classified as colored? Are you aware of that? Then he brought about the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. Then he started saying mulatto. Then he started saying Negro. Okay? Are you aware of that? It shows you how the eugenics movement, which he was a part of, okay? Matter of fact, the same Walter Flecker in the 1930s gave a presentation to 3 of Adolf Hitler's key generals in New York about eugenics. Because nobody did tell the Jewish friends, right? Of course. So you have to be aware how history has miscolored Native people. Colonials have a tendency, and I share this. I've spoken to probably maybe 1.2, 1.3 million people. 4 television documentaries. The first one was My Hampton Roads of Andrew Fox in 2006. We had a 1.2 person hit that night, okay? What people don't realize that colonials that have written our Native history wrote it to the color of their own persuasiveness, as we all do. A lot of it was not true. So as my mom and my dad would say to me, so whatever you read in the newspaper in black and white, don't take it for the gospel. Always find a backup source, okay? So this is what we do. So when you look at this, you see that here we are, Sharon Hakanataway, okay? Appomattox, Monacan is the federal recognized tribe there in the Lynchburg area, okay? You got the Metapanai, you got the Upper Metapanai, Chickahominy, Pamunkey, Nansemond, Rappahannock, Eastern Chickahominy, all federal recognized. Via the Thomas Heating Jordan bill, which we tried to get attached to that bill in 2010, working with Congressman Moran, Congressman Whitman, Senator Tim Kaine, Senator Warner, and also Congressman Bobby Scott. We were promised that as soon as those 8 recognized tribes got federal recognized by my friend, who was with me at the change of ceremony, the change of name ceremony at Fort Pickett and Fort Barfoot, I brought in the chief of the Choctaw Nation, Oklahoma, Chief Barton. We were part of the ceremony, okay? Because the fort was named after a World War II Medal of Honor winner that was 6'9" by the name of Van Barfoot. If you go to my website, you will see his pictures. You will see the pictures of his son, who was 6'6", 6'7", and see the picture of his daughter, who's 6'5". Okay? So we were part of the ceremony. We had a chance to take pictures with my friend, Senator Tim Kaine. But we've been fighting federal recognition for quite a few years now. So, Cherokee. My learned colleagues would say the Cherokee would never end the state of Virginia. Untrue. There are 6 volumes called Executive Journal to the Colonial Council of Virginia. Volume 1 through volume 6, you can go to the Library of Virginia, you can put it, okay? Volume 3, it shows where the Cherokee Nation met the Cherokee and Hakanataway Indian tribe on the white flag of truth in Williamsburg, Virginia, spoke the peace pipe and danced around the fire. So you can't tell me the Cherokee was not in Virginia. Some of my learned colleagues want to say, oh, that's the campsite. No, it was not. 3 PhDs wrote that they were there. Who knows the Humber Mother Park is in the western quarter of Virginia? Anybody know? Anybody know Humber Mother Park, western quarter of Virginia? Yeah. The Cherokee were there, okay? Matter of fact, one of the most renowned archaeologists in the state of Virginia, Colonel retired Howard McCoy, did a excavation in this archaeologist by the name of Rogers called the Molly site in southwestern Virginia. He wrote that it was a Cherokee site. He also wrote that the Cherokee and the Catawba would meet on the Great Warriors Trail, which is Highway 81. Anybody know anything about Highway 81 right here? See the Great Warriors Trail here? Look, see that right there? That's Highway 81 there. And then with that, all of the roads, highways, and byways were originally part of neighborhood. Oh, let me show you this. I'm going to get to the next slide. This is a clothing point. It takes about 18,000 years. I'm going to like them with the Orthodox side of Virginia, okay? There was a test dig that was done in what is now Sussex County at a place called Packers Hill. Clovis Point was found there. So that means that my people have been around, documented for 18,000 years. However, there was an excavation that was done on our people in South African County. It's called a hand site, 44 SN22. You can look it up. Where 131 skeleton remains of my ancestors, our ancestors, were dug up, and their bones ended up in shoeboxes in Smithsonian. 18 years we've been pushing to get them back so we can reinter them in 263 acres of land that we have so their spirits will walk easy. We finally got permission, because originally they said you had to be federal recognized. Okay? So we got the powers to be. We had four visits with Dr. Dorothy Lippett, who is a Choctaw Indian, who's one of the curators with that. This kind of shows you the first ever historic contact we had. Anybody know what Monterey Company is? There's a room called there's a site, a little bridge you cross called Tommy Hitton. Okay. In 1607, 1608, there were colonials came out of what is now Fort Lee, Virginia. Back then it was Fort Henry, looking for the lost colony. So they came to Tommy Hitton. Okay. They came to Tommy Hitton, and they approached our tribal people and asked did we know anything about the lost colony. I'm sure it's story with you, pertaining to that, okay? Of course, we said no. Why? Because you had to have a pass to leave the reservation. Otherwise, you could be shot on sight. But our hunting area went all the way down to the Apple Sound in North Carolina. It kind of shows you some of the barriers and encroachment that was brought upon us. And you must be aware of this. There are a lot of reservation tribes here in Virginia, okay? When you encroach the people, you got drugs, you know, rape, alcoholism, etc. Okay, and a lot of that goes on with a lot of the federal recognized tribes that own reservations out west. So you need to be aware of that. Okay. 1669 was the first recorded census of all indigenous people in Virginia. Who was aware of it? Anybody aware of that? However, they counted noses, teeth, feet, etc. Okay? It was written by Smoot that in 1669 we had 1,500 warriors. You multiply that times 3. That's how to get the total population, okay? So, first recorded census. Names were not given to Native people, but numbers were given to them, okay? First recorded census, 1669. Okay, ordered by the House of Virgins, which is now what? Our House of Delegates, right? In Virginia. Baker's Rebellion. You might know about Baker's Rebellion in the education. And Baker was involved in the same thing that we were involved in during the Revolutionary War to get our independence. Because the governor of Virginia was a dictator. All the monies in the treasury came into him, and he had control over it. So what happened was Susquehanna Indians, who we say were Iroquois out of Pennsylvania, okay? They came to what is now Prince George County, and they were attacked by the colonials, so they retaliated. So what Bacon did, he put together a militia of 80-some people. He sent a runner to the Monkey and the Mennonite. In his writings, he said because they were common enemies of the Algonquins. So that means they were not the Algonquins, right? They were common enemies. So the governor of Virginia sent a letter back to Bacon and told him that they were not going to join him. So he came southeasterly, picked up 24 Chern-Honkonotaway Indian warriors and Meharry Indian warriors and went to what we call now Okanagan Island. Okay? And that's where his writings said the annihilation took place. Well, we know everybody was not killed. Why? You got the Saponi and the Okanagan in North Carolina with the same recognized tribes. But the colonials know everybody was annihilated. That's not true. So you have to be careful what you read. Okay? So when you look at that, there was not a true massacre at Okanagan. Now comes the Treaty of 1676. As a spin-off of Baker's Rebellion, there was a treaty that came about. We say Tupam Wampo. In our native tongue, we say Dekani Otikoa. Dekani is 2, Otikoa is Wampo, okay? Some people call it the Williamsburg Plantation Treaty. Some people call it Tupam Wampo. The treaty tribute was always 20 beaver skins. Not a deer, not a turkey, that a medical animal monkey gives to the governor every year. The governor, the colonial council of Virginia back in those days, give a hoot best about a turkey like this, and they can go out there and kill it. What was the cash crop? Somebody tell me. Somebody said beaver. Did you say beaver? Beaver was the cash crop, okay? Beaver and tobacco. But most importantly, beaver. So the treaty of 1677 was 20 beaver pelts and 3 hours for all tribes of Virginia. Our tribal chief by the name of Sarah Oka signed the treaty, the mark of the 3 rivers. I'm going to show it to you in a minute, okay? Matter of fact, when you go to the Department of Historical Resources, there's a great big pot. When you first walk into DHR and you look around the rim, east, west, north, and south, you see his mark of the 3 rivers. That was a trade item. Because we gave tribute to Powhatan, all tribes there, okay? So, 1705, the House of Burgesses, now the House of Delegates, granted us 41,000 acres of reservation land. We started out in Nottoway County. That Nottoway County went into South, that Sussex, it went into Surrey. Because of the warring going on, and trying to get away from the colonials, the House of Burgesses gave us 41,000 acres of reservation land. Okay? Come on, Charlie. They call it a circle tract and a square tract. But in reality, that's a square tract, that's a circle tract. In reality, it was not a circle, it was not a square, because it was measured off by meets and chains. It was octagon, 8 sides, okay? But 2 of my learning colleagues, when you get a paper on that, they wrote it was circle and square. That was taken up and put in the Library of Virginia, but it was not, okay? He had, in the square tract, there was 23,000 acres. In the circle tract, there was 18,000. The 260 acres of land that we hold now, free and simple, because we had to purchase it, $650,000 in real estate, was part of the square tract. On that 263 acres, we planted 94,000 longleaf pines. But why, Chief Redhawk? Because longleaf pines were the trees that were indigenous to this country. Before the colonials came, they cut them all down and reseeded in what? What kind of pine did we seed it with? What now? Huh? Right. Right. Because they grew faster. So we planted 94,000 longleaf pines on our tribal land, because that was part of our history. We worth maybe $750 million 15, 20 years from now. The tribal people are going to be around 20 years from now, but we're safe. So, Rose Hill and the circle tract and the square tract. Now, here's what happened. The paper changed the treaty of 1677. Okay? Provisional to the governor, Alexander Spotswood, came to our reservation in 1697. And he met with the chief man. He said, if you send your sons to Nebraska, which is the first school ever started at Plenary College, to do what? To teach Native people English, literature, math, and Christianity. Our school did the same thing. It's called Hampton University now. Back then it was Hampton Normal School, 1875 to 1926. More than 500 tribes amalgamated with the African American history was there. The first one were the St. Augustine Indians out of Florida, but they were not from Florida. They were prisoners from out west. When they go to Sioux, those were the first ones who went to Hampton Normal School, which is now Hampton University. My daughter, who's an Army nurse, she recently made Lieutenant Colonel in December. She was going to Christopher Newport, and they canceled the program. I had a roundtable discussion with the president pertaining to that. So I ended up her last year sending her to Hampton University. The first time she took the nursing exam, she passed it, okay? But I called her, I said, well, are you aware of the Native History associated with Hampton University? No one knew. Why? Because it had been negated out. And I used that big word, negated, because tribal history here in the United States is being negated out. I'm telling you. 100 years from now, if we don't do a correction, if Native people start writing their own history, you won't see anything about it business people. What do you mean by that, Chief Redhawk? Even an example, Plenary College. My daughter went to Plenary College, my home was there. Okay? It was known as a tribe with the 2 feathers, right? Which, from my perspective, were representative of the first school that taught Native Americans on the campus all the rest of it. The bill was built in 1927. However, the powers that be, the capitalist society got involved in and said, well, if you don't get rid of the tribe and the two fellas, we're going to take your athletic money from you. And the Oneida tribe in Canada that knows nothing about our native history, nothing about the history of the Cherokee, Wampanoag, or any of the other 10 Virginia state recognized tribes of Virginia, gave $10 million toward that, to get rid of that. They gave $10 million also to the building and the opening of the National Museum of American Indians in Washington, D.C. So there's a lot of history that we're not aware of that we have to tell our people to continue to propagate that. Otherwise, 100 years from now, it's going to be gone. You guys know that Plenary was called the tribe of the two feathers. Anybody? Of course. You're right. Am I telling the truth? I'm not speaking with a forked tongue, am I? Of course not. So, the bill was built in 1723. Actually, there had people in there in 1727, okay? February 27, 1713. We're the only tribe in the state of Virginia that let the last treaty with the Crown of England, February 27, 1713, between provisional lieutenant governor Alexander Spotswood and our tribal king, who's not, we call them kings back in those days, well, by the way, not chief, okay? Okura here. However, the whites gave him the name William Edmund. But his native name was Okura here. But they gave him the name William Edmund, just like the census of 1808. They gave us English names. My fifth foster great grandmother, Edith Turner, her name was Bonnie Rootserot, because she raised my fourth great grandmother, whose name was Harold. They gave her the name Polly Woodson. It's like Africans that came here, okay? They didn't have colonial English names, but the same thing was done to us. We have our own native names, okay? So, 3 peace arrows. Every year to the governor of Virginia, we're the only tribe in the state of Virginia that actually presents to the sitting governor a treaty tribute. So Monkey Meadow and I give a deer, started in 1927, Chief Cook, they started giving a deer and a turkey. Now they give 2 deers. That's a tax tribute, not a treaty tribute. Treaty tribute, the last one was we just did the 310th year treaty tribute to Governor Youngkin. Okay? This is where the treaty tribute to give Governor Arthur. This is that's the mantle. That's the Native American Memorial on the Capitol Square. Okay, anybody seen that here? In the mantle? That's the former Secretary of the Commonwealth, Kelly, Governor Northam. Okay. Fort Christiana. Spotswood was always trying to colonize Native people the way we did the Japanese in World War II. Okay? So here's what he did. The Tuscarora, there was a war that broke out between the colonial Tuscarora and North Carolina, okay? So what he did, all the tributary tribes that had signed the treaty with the colonial council, he brought about Fort Christiana. He tried to put everybody over there so they would not go across the Virginia line and join the Tuscarora. At that time, we were at Tomahitchy. We refused to go. I see you look at your watch. Well, how's my time? I'm going to speed it up, okay? Let's give you a push, a slap, or whatever. Yeah. Okay? So, Fort Christiana, when you go there, it's in Brunswick County, you can actually see the Marcus Ford, okay? It was on 3,000 acres of land, and there was 15 acres that they had the school. And that's where the tribal people were. So the Maharian Indian women and the children were kidnapped and taken there in hope that the men would follow them. But in the writings, it shows that 6 months later, they're all left. The Cherokee refused to go. Okay? We refused to go there. We were at Tomahitchy, that's when we relocated down to Sussex area and back to Southampton County. Wamberg, second to Westover. Anybody know that name? April the 7th, April the 8th, 1728, Williamsburg, the second to Westover, came to what was our, at that time, 41,000 acres of reservation land, and he visited our tribal town. He called it the Great Nottoway Town in his writings. Okay? But we say Chero and Haka Nottoway because Nottoway is a derogatory name given us out of Uncle Speakers of the Powhatan Confederation to be saved. So people stay recognized as the Chero and Haka first. We put Nottoway in parentheses to show parallel, okay? So April 27th, April 7th, April 8th, 1728, William Byrd II came to our tribal land. Here's what he did. You can read this right. He said when he came to the gate of the tribal land, the palisade fort with the square, women gave out hoops and hollers. And he said, all the young men ran in the woods. Then he said the young men came out and their faces were painted. What do we call that in the powwow circle? We call that medicine, right? And they were dancing and singing their native tongue to a gore drum stretched tight with an animal skin. Then he said the young women came out. He said they were tall and shapeless. Back in those days, anything over 5'5" was considered tall. Okay? Their hair hung their hair was braided and hung in locks on their shoulders. They had braided cocktails in their hair and also wrapped around their neck. Then he said, wrapped loosely, listen, about their upper torso was a match coat because of the shawl, right? That their mahogany skin shone through in special places. April, they were probably breastfeeding with a breast out, etc. Okay. Then he said this, and I quote, they would make exceptional wives for the colonial planters, and that their dark skin would bleach out in 2 generations. You can read it. There was a lot of amalgamation that took place. You'd be aware of that, okay? But Native people were not as light as I am. They're not as light as you back in those days. They were mahogany in color. They were Beverly and Francis. Raise your hand and back. Listen, I didn't write it. William Byrd II wrote it, okay? I'm not going to challenge what he wrote. He was there in 1728. I wasn't there, okay? So I just want to share that with you, okay? Matter of fact, Thomas Jefferson in 1820 wrote that the monkey was so dark because they were ingrained with the Negro race. I didn't write it. He wrote it. Read his papers. That's what he wrote. Thomas Jefferson wrote that. Now, we're the only tribe in Virginia whose language was actually recorded. And is on file at the Philadelphia Institute of Philosophy and Religion in Pennsylvania. I'll talk about that a little bit, okay? This shows you the House of Burgess, the travel interpreters, Thomas Wynn and Henry Briggs were dismissed. This is when the 41,000 acres of reservation land began to be sold off. Because they read the writing. This says, because we can speak enough English that we can understand a legal deed, but get into the deed and say, well, they are illiterate and they cannot read or write. So from 1735 to 1877, 41,000 acres of reservation land disappeared. Signed off by the tribal chief, man. They signed it, they made their mark, okay? Well, what's so interesting about this, I got 132 deeds in my archives, okay? It shows how the 41,000 acres of land disappeared. When you look at the first deed, you actually see the marks of the chief man. How many of you over 10, 15 years your signature block changes? Very seldom, right? Well, when you look at the rest of the deeds, the marks are not the same. Why? Because the scribes were writing the deeds and they were making the marks. That kind of shows you how the land went away, okay? 41,000 acres. They gave it out. This shows you I talked about the census. We're the only tribe in Virginia that a gubernatorial special census was done. Why? Because the census had done even 10 years. This was done in 1808. What happened was all the tribal young men and the women were taken off the reservation. They were kept in the house, they were kept in the house of the colonial and used as servants. So Edith Turner, in conjunction with 2 of the trustees, as you're aware, the white trustees control all the reservation, they control the money and everything else, they control the meat and the blankets we got, okay? So she befriended 2 of the reservation people and had a letter written to the governor of Virginia and said, we want the tribal boys and girls, you know, the Iroquois language boys Wakatanka, girl is Iruha, okay, to back on the reservation so they can learn their language, they can learn their traditions, so they can learn their culture. Because she said if you lose your language, you lose your culture, you lose your culture, you lose your tradition. That means yes, okay? Right? So the census was done. Only 17 people were counted. Why is that? Thomas Jefferson counted that in 1820, he said it was more. Because they coined the term matrilineal. If your mother was an Indian, then you were an Indian. If your mother was a slave, you were a slave. It's old slave mentality, okay? If your mother was a slave, how many kids she had at home or whatever, you were a slave. They coined the term matrilineal. But we are both matrilineal and patrilineal. Well, Rocky is patrilineal, father's side. But we are both. So they only counted 17 people. Like we didn't have babies, you know, we didn't reproduce. It's like my learning colleague Helen Roundtree in 1977, and I say, I've challenged her on a lot of occasions, okay? Wrote her doctoral thesis at Old Dominion University and said the Chernhaka Nottoway were none. They were just Negroes. Gave a presentation in the South African Historical Society with my right number. My wife, Steve, and I, others' wife was there when she said that. She said, Nottoway were never down here before. So I stood up, I said, excuse me, doctor. I got 122 deeds where the land was sold off right here in Southampton County. You know what she said? Oh, that's my opinion. But if you're a PhD and you make a statement, people take that for your word. Of your doctoral dissertation, right? It's been 20 years later to begin. I didn't mean the tribal members of the way. I mean the presentation, but never really. To give you an idea of how Native history is being negated out. Okay? John Reuben, former professor of mathematics at Plenary College, take out a reservation on March the 4th, 1820. He sat down with my great-great-grandmother, who raised my fourth great-grandmother, Father Woodson, and he sat down and recorded the language, the vocabulary. And I was sharing some of the vocabulary with you. Thomas Jefferson bought that vocabulary in 1820 and sent it to Peter de Pontiac, a student of the Indian language in Philadelphia, who was French. Father de Pontiac, he speak French. So, now what happened after that, before that? A U.S. Congressman. 1731, there was that counter-insurrection in South African County. To 1736. Okay? Mary Blunt Turner, who was Tuscarora and Chernhaka Nottoway. Blunt is a Tuscarora name, of which Schoolcraft said that we were kindred cousins, that the language was similar, because our word for son is Ahita, their word for son is Hita. They dropped the A, okay? So, we did a second recording of our language. James translated. We always wonder, how can you do a second recording of the language that parallels that with John Wood did out of Plenary College? Because he was married to a native person that spoke the language. Okay? This is some of the numbers that I have heard from language. This is not the chart that I accept. I asked to read the press, and when I did the chart showing you the animals like cheetah for bird, Akia for deer, ski-u for fox, canoe for turkey, etc. These are just the numbers, okay? How much up to 1820? I have a copy of the archives from the old Petersburg newspaper of 1820, where he said, of all the Aboriginal tribes of Virginia, there are only 3 remaining. Listen to me. I didn't write it, he wrote it. But I put it, as my kids say, my Zumba. I have a 6th grader and a 5th grader, okay? They call my brain my Zumba. They call the brain the Zumba. Who's heard that word before? But anyway, he wrote that of all the Aboriginal tribes in Virginia, there are only 3 remaining. The Pamunkey, the Metapanine, the Chernhaka Nottoway. He said Metaponies, okay? The rest of them going by way of sickness and war. I didn't write it. It had to be more than 3. We got 7 federal recognized tribes in Virginia now. And when you look at the treaty of 1677, 2 of those tribes not even on that treaty. That are federal recognized. Take a look at it. You'll see. You won't see the Rappahannock on that treaty, okay? Last 575 acres disappeared in 1875. The last speech left ahead of the tribal number in 1953 by the name of Silence. Hand title. I mentioned earlier about 131 cells remains on the dug in Southampton County, 1965, 1966, 1969, and their bones are laying in shoebox in Smithsonian. They recently moved it to the museum in Super, Maryland. So we would get those back. We would put them back in the ground when I was traveling in the spirits and walk easy. How would you like somebody to come into your city and beat up your grandma, your great grandma, and take their bones and put them in a box somewhere? Negation. Negating out travel history. That's what it's all about. Okay? This is a hands-eye market. It took me 3 years dealing with the Department of Historical Resources to get this market out. Because all the PhDs there would not recognize that the two men in Ottawa is Trevor and Haka. I took voluminous documentation to include the war paper of 1796, to include the writers of James Tresvant, to include the writers of Louis Benford, the ethno-history of Trevor and Ottawa, and Henry Bueno, all of whom said the true name of the Ottawa is Trevor and Haka. I had to fight for 3 years to prove that to them. Because their mindset, with their doctoral degree, they had never heard of Trevor and Haka. And if they heard of it, they just bypassed it, okay? Right here. So it finally reads, long claim by the Trevor and Haka Ottawa dates back to 700 AD, based on tests and based on artifact of the found, pottery shards, points, etc. Okay? It's been around for a long time, guys, and you know what? We're still here. I'm standing here. We're still here. This is skeleton remains here. Man in shoebox. Go to my website, you'll see it. You'll read about it. It's painful. The first time we went to the Smithsonian in 2005, my tribal member was standing there, they were crying like a baby. Painful. Then we had to fight to get them back. Then our ancestors proved it. By ossuary studies and the Smithsonian did. So what are ossuary studies, Chief Red Hawk? They do ossuary studies to decide what native nation bones they are. 1993, Chief Perry of the Nansemond tribe saying they were Nansemons. But based on the ossuary studies of the site, the Smithsonian wrote back and said, no, this is not an Algonquin site, it's an Iroquois site, because they're Iroquois speakers, okay? So what we've been doing a word of peace in 2002, teaching our tribal people our language. Lose your language, you lose your culture, you lose your traditions. Some of the non-skeletal remains that were found in the site, let me say this to you. Lost Island in 1585, right? Better read about the Lost Island. In our ethno history, we don't say that they were massacred. They're amalgamated with other natives in that area. Look at the top. It's a whole lot of blue-eyed, green-eyed Catawba Indians, guys. I mean, my eyes are green. I think we're going to mix up in me too, okay? But I'm 75% native based on DNA, and I don't like DNA. Or sometimes DNA lies. I tell a joke, as my dad would say, okay? So, it's being proven now that the lost colony, members of the lost colony, amalgamated with the native tribes in the area. They're not annihilated. Ah, there's that mark. See the mark of 3 rivers represent the Nottoway and our Iroquois language. They say, oh no, Chilkitoki, the Long River, the Maharian, and the Shawan. In that fork, in the Nottoway, the Blackwater forms a fork, and in that fork that forms the Shawan River, there were 3 villages on the Hebrew land: Ankara, Owanka, and Henderson. Oh, back up. Made the federal recognized tribes you see up there. The time that treaty of 1677. You see any? I see the Pamunkey. I see the Nansemond. I see the Window. I see the Cherokee and Nottoway. That treaty was signed in 1677, went back to England, came back in 1680, and the rest of the tribes signed it. There it is. See the mark of the 3 rivers on that map? Did everybody see that right here? I want to say that was an Algonquin plot, but it wasn't. It's an Iroquois plot with the mark of Saraoka, who put his mark as on the treaty of 1677. That shows you the mark, right? Same thing. Same marks. Mark of the 3 rivers. They gave me out my history. I want to call it something else, but it's not. Powwow. On the other side of Virginia here. We've been partnering with ASB since 2005. Every powwow we have, we've done 32 so far. All over the state of Virginia, to include Fort Nottoway County, Old Dominion University, Norfolk State University, Southside Community College, Elizabeth City, I mean, different universities in Virginia and North Carolina. Okay? They always come and partner with us, but they bring in artifacts dating back 18,000 years. If you have a chance, you're going to see some of the artifacts before you leave up here that we want to look at. Okay. And we also have some sweatshirts and some calendars. I want you to take a look at it. This is the 2024 calendar, and we'll make a donation to our foundation, which is tax exempt. This is a 2023 calendar here. I mean, just recently did these are the sweatshirts. Take one home, take it back to the room. Okay, for the shirts. Okay. Native presentations throughout the state of Virginia, North Carolina. This is our first 100 acres of land that we have here. This is the first land closing ceremony for the 100 acres. First 100 acres, that's the chief of the former chief of the Maharian Indian tribe, my friend Thomas Lewis. Okay, he's now the chief of the Shawana in the Hoskin, North Carolina. International paper. Suffolk County Board of Supervisors were there for it as a witness. This shows you where we're putting up our Native American Culture Center, Museum, non-denominational worship center, and wellness center. $1.4 million project. We cut the site plan, we didn't pay for the site plan, so we can try to break ground, okay? 1.4 million. Well, how do we get the money? We get the money doing presentations about donations for people like you. That's how we get it, okay? And I'm also the president and CEO of the Nottoway Indian Enterprises. I started that company in 2018. In April of 2021, we became SBA 8A certified, authorized to do sole source contracting, construction, and IT with the federal government. So that's another reason, another way we're paying money in to build this $1.4 million project, okay? And it's going to happen. It's in the working. And I showed you the other portion next to the 100 acres, which was 155 acres. We got 7.4 acres across the street. This goes all the way back to the Nottoway River, okay? This is the land closing ceremony. Former Secretary of the Commonwealth, Kelly Thompson, was there. It kind of shows you the 263 acres now. They'll be on for free and simple, $680,000 in real estate that we paid for. Okay? Nobody gave us nothing. Unfortunately, we're not getting $5, $6, and $7 million from the federal government, where the federal recognized tribes are getting that. North of that, he gave $3 million to the Rappahannock. Federal recognized. We have never been given a dime, and I know except for what we go out and work for. Okay? But the Creator has in store for you. If He has favor for you, it's going to happen. Okay? And we claim His favor. And I claim His favor standing here. Okay? Not because of a Baptist minister. The first 100 acres that we got, I walked it for 7 years and claimed in the name of the Creator. 7 years later, we got it. $135,000, turned around and sold the timber for $105,000, paid the note off. Another 7 years, I walked 155 acres, 7 years, claimed it in the name of the Creator. 7 years later, we got it, we paid $550,000 for it, okay? 2 years later, we paid for it free and simple. Wrote a grant to the Department of Conservation and Recreation, put it in an easement, because we didn't want it to be sold off. We went to 41,000 acres of land was sold off. That means we'll be in the name of the tribe perpetuity. However, you can't never tell it, okay? Turn around and sold it down for $305,000. My granddaddy set me on his knee when I was 8 years old. It was amazing the impact you can have on your children. My grandfather had a third grade education. He looked like he was white, but he was 50% Native American, okay? He had 750 acres of land when he died in 1959. So when I was 8 years old, he sat on his knee and said, son, I want you to make something out of yourself. Now, I tell you something. If you buy land, don't buy it and don't have no trees on. Because you can sell the trees to pay the rent. That has stayed with me all my life, okay? So the 260 acres of land we got, we sold one basket tree for 305,000, and the other for 135. That's how we ended up with $680,000 in real estate. They tell me the creator is not good. If you don't believe him, that's you, okay? But you can't take away my belief. You can't take away my faith. I travel members know that, okay? I had to put that in my presentation everywhere I go. But they took it out of school. That shows 159 acres. It shows a village, Catasauqua town, as we were building it. Three Sisters Garden, we put up the palisade post. Our village with the roundhouses, with the palisade fort square, not round. Most of my learned colleagues write that every village was round. The only thing we had around was the prayer circle. We have the golden over because there's Copper Lane also. And we kind of sweat lodge. That's one time. I have a 10-year-old, and an 11-year-old, 5th grader, and a 6th grader. This was taken, one son was one son was 6 years old. Grinding corn. This is one of our roundhouses. We got flex bark on it because we put other bark and only lasts a year. That was $6,800 to get that material. Okay? But it has a 20-year lifespan, shelf life. So it'll be there for a while. As you can see, this is Catasauqua town, Catasauqua trail leading to the village. This is one of our fish smokers. We do a school day every first Friday of November, okay? And the kids might have a class. Get the power ground. We have walking trails in our Arizona language and English, identifying the flora and the fauna, and all the palm rays. I heard you guys mention that earlier. The flora and the fauna, okay? Amazon. Only pines, 94,000, right? That's part of the planning day. Mortgage burning ceremony. This is our Culture Center Museum we're putting up, non-denominational Worship Center and Wellness Center. There it is there. Our grand entry. School day. Man, they're not a bunch of children. One year we have 1,000 kids. We're going to do 5 stations. One of the stations of the village, okay? Catasauqua town. We have 9 clans. The Cherokee have 10. They have a wild potato clan. I'm in the Hawk clan. Okay? Now, in our Iroquois custom, if I'm in the Hawk clan, I cannot marry a woman in the Hawk clan. I have to marry somebody in another clan. And on top of that, who if I marry because I'm a man, the kids go to her clan, her longhouse. What does that do? Keeps away intermarriage and stuff, right? Of course. Keeps the seed strong, right? Somebody now went on the radio during the tree tribute. It's a 308 spot for the tree tribute. I was doing COVID. So the young kid. 300 and we just recently did the 310th treaty tribute on April this year. Well, what is the treaty tribute, Chief? 3 peace hours in accordance with the treaty of February 27th, 17th, February the 27th, 1713. We wrap it in a beaver pelt with a wampum belt. Why a beaver pelt? Because the original treaty was beaver, and the treaty that Spotswood wrote between the Coolash and here, aka William Edmund, it said anything else we wish to give. So we include the beaver pelt. Tony Youngkin. Focus that was out of the Library of Virginia. That's the expedition that took place there at Jamestown. There it is. Tribal Culture Center Museum. That's 4,800 square foot, by the way. Behind it is the non-denominational, it's the wellness Wellness Center, and non-denominational worship center. How, I took too much of your time. I'll just have to leave it open for some questions. I hope you have some questions, because if you have a challenge on Zuma, there's a lot of things pertaining to my history I didn't get a chance to do. I didn't get around. Thank you so very much. You have no word in the Bible. You can say Ia. Can you say Ia? Ia. It means I walk, okay? Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. But we're gonna hang around for a while so you guys can get a chance later on to see the artifacts and look at the t-shirts and the calendars, okay?